Today, I want to talk about finding beauty and purpose in your flaws, right? Because we all come here with flaws. And I believe a diamond with flaws is worth more than a pebble without imperfections, right? We've all got something, but God made us as humans. It was his most perfect creation, right? On the totem pole. So I'd rather be that with a few imperfections, right? And I know, where I'm strong in some things, I'm weak in other things, and we've all got these dualities that we deal with. So I want to tell you a quick story, and we'll get out of here. I'm in this parking lot, but I want to tell you a quick story of this water bearer, and it was his job to carry water from the stream to the boss's house, and he had two pots that he would carry on a pole behind his neck, right? He put one pot on that side of the pole. He put another pot on this side of the pole. The difference between the pots, though, it was that one pot was perfect, right? Perfect, did its job. The other pot had a big crack in it. So while the water bearer would fill both of the pots with the same amount of water, as he would carry the water on this pole from the stream to the boss's house, the one that had the crack in it would leak half of its water out. So by the time he reached the house, he only had a pot and a half worth of water. And this went on for 2 years. 2 years he would get to the boss's house with just a pot and a half of water. And the flawed pot, the pot with the crack, it began to get frustrated and ashamed, right? That it couldn't do its job, that it couldn't live up to its full potential, that it had this crack on its side that would leak out water, and that it couldn't be proud of its accomplishments. While the perfect pot, it was perfectly proud that it was made to be perfect to its end, and it could live up to its full potential in delivering the full amount of water. So after about 2 years of this, and the cracked, flawed pot feeling like a miserable failure, finally it talked. This is a fictional story, but there's a point to it. It said something to the water bearer. It said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And the water bearer said, "What's the problem?" It said, "I feel so bad, and I'm very ashamed that I have this crack, and I want to apologize to you." And the water bearer said, "Why? Why do you feel this way? What are you ashamed of?" And the pot began to tell him about how it has noticed that the other pot, it delivered a full pot of water, and every day it only had half of the water. And it felt bad that, the water bearer had to work so hard. Had to do all this effort, and wouldn't, realize its full effort when he got to the boss's house. He only had a pot and a half of water. And I think it's my fault as the flawed pot. And I wish that I could fix this, but I can't. And the water bearer, feeling sorry for the pot, said, "Hey, on our next trip from the stream to the boss's house, I want you to notice the flowers on the ground. Just stop and smell the roses and the flowers." And the pot said, "Okay." So as the water bearer took the two pots down the same path, the same trail, the cracked pot looked down, and it did. It noticed the sun shining on these beautiful wild flowers. And it kind of felt a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more cheerful. But once again, here the discouragement set in when they got to the boss's house, and it had half of its water, and the perfect pot had, a full pot of water. So once again, the flawed water pot said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I can't deliver a full pot of water." And this is what the water bearer said to the flawed pot. He said, "Did you notice on our walk that there was only flowers on your side, and there wasn't flowers on the other pot's side?" And the pot said, "No, I didn't notice that." And he said, "This is why. Because I've always known about your flaws. I've always known that you had a crack on your side, and that you couldn't deliver full amounts of water to the boss's house. So what I did was I planted some flower seeds along your path, because I knew as we journeyed from the stream to the master's house, to the boss's house, you'd be able to water those flowers. And then you know what I would do? At the end of the trip, I would pick some beautiful flowers. I would put them in a beautiful vase, and I would decorate the boss's table with the flowers that you watered. So I want to tell you that you are not in vain. Your efforts are not in vain. You were made for the very reason you were made, right? And without your efforts, without you watering those beautiful flowers, you wouldn't bring joy to the master's and the boss's house with those beautiful flowers on that table. And there that day, that flawed pot realized that it brought beauty and that it had purpose. And that's my message. That's my message to you. See, we're so concerned about comparing ourselves to other people. We're so concerned about comparing our missions and what we've got to bring to the table to other people that we miss the very purpose that we were created for. We miss the very beauty that we have within, right? We're trying to compare it to what we think is the perfect pot. But if you look on the ground, that perfect pot's not watering any flowers, but you are. Right? That perfect pot, yeah, it has its mission and it does its thing, but guess what? You've got yours too. And when we take our eyes off of what other people think and what other people are doing, and we focus on the purpose and the vision and the gifts and the strengths and the things that God gave us, then we will realize our importance here on earth. We will realize where we stand, how powerful we are, how beneficial we are to mankind, and that is my message to you. You are uniquely you. Stop comparing. Stop saying, God, why did you make me short? Why did you make me tall? Why did you make me this? Why did you put me there? Why did I grow up there? Why is my story like this? Why do I struggle here? Guess what? It's all working together for your good. Can I get a like? It's all working together for your good. And you probably don't see it. Just like the pot was only focused on comparing to the other pot. The pot was only focused on the fact that it couldn't deliver a pot full of water. But it didn't realize that that water spilling out was still being used for good, was still serving a purpose, a different purpose, not the same purpose. We're not all the same. I'm not here for the same reason. Don't compare to me. How does Jermaine do these Facebook Lives? That boy, he presses record and he just goes. I wish I could do that. Don't worry about me. This is my thing. Now put a basketball in my hand and you might notice I might be a little uncoordinated because we've all got our things. We've all got our strengths. We've got our weaknesses. Don't focus on your flaws. I don't even really truly believe they're flaws, right? Because they're your unique DNA. They're your unique things, combinations that come together. And all you got to do is find it, look around, take some time to observe. You know, you may be the most encouraging person ever, but you're too hard on yourself, right? You may be a quiet person, but you're an understanding person, right? And when people talk to you, they feel heard by you. They feel that you're one of few people that actually listen to them. Guess what? That's a strength. That's a gift in today's world where everybody just wants to talk. Just like I'm talking right now, but guess what? You're a listener. There's more power in listening. Listen and silent, they have the same letters, the exact same letters, right? So beauty is not flawless, right? It shines, right? Beauty shines through your flaws, in spite of your flaws, right? And that's my message to you today. Short and sweet, right? Once you've accepted your flaws, I believe, and you can really walk in your power because can't nobody else use them against you. I know I'm flawed. I know what I do good, what I do bad, what my proclivities are. I know where my strengths, my weaknesses. I know my ebbs and flows. I already understand myself. I've spent time with myself, right? You can't use that against me, nor am I going to compare. That is the biggest thing, the trick of comparison. That's my last note, the trick of comparison. Right? Your creator already knows what you are good, where you're flawed, where you're good, where you're bad, all that stuff. And it's just it's our job to walk in that purpose, in that beauty, and understand it. And that's it. And once we do that, and once we find our true mission and stop trying to compare and be other people's mission, then we've got the message. Then we've embraced our truth. So that's the message.